Sacred moments. Sacred moments with you. Sacred moments. Yeah. Enter in sacred moments. I'm here in this space on this day with you. I'm here in this sacred space witnessing the morning dew. Sacred moments. In voice and in victory, we will share our thoughtful view, conversing and even challenging things we thought we knew. Sacred moments. With expectancy and excitement is this time set aside. Won't you enter in with us? And come on, let's take this ride. Riding the waves of wonder and whimsy, we're not here to do silly or flimsy. We're sacred moments. We are here open to listen and engage and converse. You know I'm going to keep the triune God in sight and first. I'm here with you on this holy mountain of meaning, sharing vows and syllables, discussing powerful gleanings. It's sacred moments. With songs and sonnets and poems and prose, this is not just another one of those radio shows. It's sacred moments. It's sacred moments with me as your host, here to clear and create and commune with you from coast to coast. It's sacred moments. Enter. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh my goodness. It is another Sunday at 9 a.m. And guess what? This is show number boom, 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 5 times 2. I was trying to do 10 fingers. I couldn't even get my fingers to work this morning. But we are show number 10, and that calls for a drum roll, a whoop whoop. We did it, and we are still here. Good morning, audience. Hey, Khadija.
Hey, good morning.
How you feel about show number 10?
I'm excited. We're doing it.
I know, like you start something and then it starts opening up and blooming. And man, I never did a radio show before. I mean, I did interviews, but doing all of this and being on the camera and being in the studio and being on the mic and making up a opening.
We committed to it and we did it. We're getting it done. So I'm proud of us.
Me too. I am too. I'm grateful too. I'm also grateful because sometimes we take a lot of things for granted, and we just miss the blessing in doing the things that are put in our spirit to do. The things that we couldn't maybe see before, and then we begin to see. That's kind of like a little tease about what we're going to talk about with vision and stuff like that. So.
Right.
Yeah. So I hope our audience is doing well. This is Reverend B. Michelle Horton with our super duper producer and owner, Khadija Phillips, Alter Ego. Alter Ego, did you know that a show is coming out called Alter Ego?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, I thought about you.
Really? I'm trying to spell my name. See that?
Yes, there's a show coming out. Alter Ego something or something alter ego, and it's these people who want to sing and can sing, but they I think they're like they don't want their personality to be seen. So they dress up, or it's a computerized alter ego. So they're the human person is singing, but the alter ego is the one being revealed on the TV show. So I don't know
That's
how it's.
kind of like The Mask. Isn't that what
Yes,
it's called? Where they sing and they dress up like the characters, and you have to guess what it is.
yeah. I don't like anybody that's dressed up like in. I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't trust who's behind those costumes. So.
Let me
Mm-mm.
go ahead and write my show with my name.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah. Oh, it's good to see someone on already. Looks like Linda's. Listen, for our 10th show, we're going to talk about vision, but we're also going to kind of look back and envision looking ahead. So we want audience participation. The very first show that we did on July 10th, it was just Alter Ego and myself. So we chose this show to just be the two of us kind of talking. But we really want to talk with you, audience. We want to hear how you've liked the show so far. We want to know if there's any topics that you may want us to talk about. Any questions that you may have for either of us, we might answer questions. So if you're in the chat, we want you to please put some stuff in. We want to hear from you. We want this to be audience participation. And so think about three things. How you've liked the show so far, what topics you might like to hear, how you feel, and what do you think about vision, because we're talking about that as well. And we want to read your comments and just have a conversation with you on our 10th anniversary show. So, audience, if you could start doing that, we would really appreciate that. And we'll get to read maybe some of your comments live right on the air. I do want to say thank you to again Khadija for having me be a part of this Besties Media Company. And if you talk about vision, I may want to just even ask you, like, how are you getting all of these? I think you're coming up with these ideals and visions and ways to build community. Like, how does that come to you? Is there something that, it just pops in your head? And I mean, how do you see yourself with vision? I guess I'll say that.
honestly, what happened was probably it's probably like 10 years now.
Really?
I prayed and I said, because I was still working and I hated my job and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I prayed and I was just like, God, can you give me ideas that would help make me money, that would help like bring the community together. Just give me ideas, creative ways um to do this, business ideas. And ever since then, like I just get them. Like I just come up with it, and it's like so rapid fire, and there's so many to the point where I was actually considering like maybe I should just sell my ideas. I mean, right now I pretty much just give everything away, but like I get it all the time. Like I'll just be sitting somewhere, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool if I did this. Who could help me do this, or who could this help? Um, like I said, I get so many of them. Some of them aren't really relevant to me or something that I would even feel comfortable doing. It'll be for somebody else. So, like this, like I couldn't see myself just creating a show where I was trying to encourage people and, share the word of God. I couldn't see myself doing that myself. So I'm like, I want to do something encouraging and motivating for people on Sunday mornings. Who could I get that would be a good fit? And so it's kind of like that. Like,
Okay.
I get the ideas for myself, but then I feel like I also get ideas for other people that are around me.
So that's interesting because I think something that I've always known you to be is that type of person where it wasn't um, necessarily just about you or how something can just benefit you. I think inherently you have that thing, I'll just say, inside that says, how can, how can this help the community? How can this
Mhm.
build, others up? I
Mhm.
think that's a gift, and I think that you nurture it. It's interesting you said that you were getting ideals rapid fire. Oh boy,
Yeah, I
what?
do. Like I'll just be sitting somewhere, and that's why I have like so many whiteboards because I had to put them down because I'll get distracted because I'll be doing something like, oh, let me create this group or program or thing, and then I'll be like, oh, it'd be cool to take the podcast and have a talk show.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm like, okay, I want to do a talk show. So now I'm researching how to do a talk show, but I'm like in the middle of doing something else. So they just come to me. And then too, I also have to recognize, I mean, talking about vision, I have to recognize what's for me and what's not for me and not even pursue that because I can't do everything. You know
okay,
what I mean? So, like, what's the vision? What's the outlook? Like, where do I see, for example, this show going? Like, what's the vision for this show? Do I want to, necessarily be in front of the camera on this show for another 10 years? Or do we want to take it somewhere else? And the ideas just come and I just write them down. I have notebooks filled with the ideas. And it's even hard for me too because like sometimes I'll get frustrated because I feel like everybody doesn't have the same vision and that I do as far as bringing community together and working together. Um, so I'll say, well, they don't ever promote anybody else's business. They don't promote what I'm trying to do, so I won't promote theirs. But God still puts it on me, like, no,
mm,
send this person this referral. Let this person know that this is happening. So I have to do it. It's just, like you said, I guess it's just part of who I am. And now that I'm older, and now that I actually asked God to help me with it, He's like, "Well, you asked me, so here."
yeah,
You asked
yeah,
me, so here's the ideas. Here are the people. Like I've met people, and then I didn't know, what their purpose really was in my life because I'm not really an outgoing person like that until years later when I get the idea, like, oh, hey, this will be good for them to do X, Y, and Z. So I don't know. I think like I think I attribute everything to their prayer that I made
yeah, yeah.
because since then everything's been wrong. Like the ideas just come.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I really appreciate that community aspect. I have been really thinking a lot about that lately, as in our world that we're living in, when we have so much division,
Mm-hmm.
that to make the effort to celebrate each other's differences, respect them, number one, um, but that community effort, community um, uh, work, that seems to be lacking. And I think that if we can get back to that, or either, I don't know if we I think we did have it at some point. I remember growing up and collectively, as a child, on Saturdays, and adults, we all went outside on our block and we all cleaned our steps. Like, I remember feeling part of a community. And our audience, if you have any type of questions about vision, or want to share, some things with us, please put it in the chat. But as a child, I remember that we especially throughout the summer, like, we all were outside, we all were doing like similar things to uplift the community. Cleaning, sweeping, sharing, the kids huddling together. And I feel that kind of lost now, where it's just, let me get mine, let me do me, and
Mm-hmm.
if I'm successful, then that's all that matters. And I think that there is a connectivity issue of heart, mind, and spirit that it really will benefit us. And collectively, like, your vision, our vision will interact with somebody else's vision, right? If we collectively want the best for each other.
Right. But I think that's the problem. And then, like you said, I remember even one time we did Hands Across America, where everybody was standing outside on our block and everybody was holding hands, like all the neighbors. Like we're just trying to, the vision for me is just to get back to that. Everybody is so consumed with themselves, and I get it. I've had many conversations with people like you have to make sure that you're okay before you can help somebody else. I just don't see it that way. I think that everybody can work together, and as a collective everybody can be okay together. I don't feel like one person has to reach a certain level and then reach down and pull people up. I feel like there are enough people who are already on a certain level that they should already be pulling people up, and then B, that we can do it together, even if it's something as simple as, like you said, let's go out and clean our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Can I borrow a cup of sugar from the neighbor?
Yeah.
You don't really see that anymore.
Yeah.
Even when we do the cleaning days around here, nobody really comes outside. So it's just, I don't
Yeah.
know, and I just think that that's what's missing. I think that's what's I don't know if it's a social media thing. It's kind of taken away from that. Um, but a friend of mine showed me a post and it said, if you have to tell people to help you build I have to find it just so I can say it right. But um, basically, I just have to find the people that have a vision that's similar to mine so that I don't get frustrated, because it you get burnt out. It says if you got to tell them to help carry the bricks, they ain't the ones to build with. So I
Mm.
guess, you know, for me, I guess, like I said, because it's so heavy on my heart and because I'm constantly getting bombarded with ideas to help other people, it gets frustrating, but I have to just do what I'm told to do. God told me to tell this person that this is what they should be doing. Just tell them, and then my people will, gravitate to me. Let's see. Carrie
Yeah.
said, "Good morning. I have enjoyed and been encouraged by this show. Loved all the guests so far."
Oh,
And Anna said, "I'm so blessed by the conversation. They're so relatable." Yeah.
oh, thank you. Thank you all. We really I mean, I believe we really have enjoyed it. And, we've had really some great guests on. I'm probably going to forget somebody. We've had Pastor Derek Norton. He talked about love, and I thought that was a great conversation. We've had Dr. Tashina Reeder on. I think, basically her and Valerie Stansel last week talked about health and wellness from the both emotional, spiritual, and physical aspects. And listen, if you guys have missed any of those shows, I hope that you go back on. I know I had my granddaughter on. I love that show because just having her on and having that conversation with her was great. And my daughter, I call her my a daughter of my heart, Christine as, and we were talking about surrender. So I think that we've had some really good topics. And as we look at vision, we're actually looking forward into some topics. So again, if you have something that you think that you may want to hear or talk about, please put it in the chat, and we'll be looking about that. I wonder with our audience, have you ever gotten a vision that you didn't finish it, you didn't start it out, and what were the barriers of the vision that you were given? And so I'll tell you, there were two things that two visions that I'll kind of talk about. Um, and one of them was the beginning of a sacred space ministry, where this radio show, Sacred Moments, is an offshoot from. And, the vision actually started out, Khadija, from a place of frustration with what was going on
Mm-hmm.
at the time. So I was thinking about this as it's coming to me now. Sometimes we think about vision from like this happy place, like, oh, I got a vision and all of that, right? But mine came out of frustration. And so I, as I'm expanding my thought of what ministry looks like, out outside of the four walls of a local church building, which I think it's fine. But and then what I felt like the Lord was saying to me, just like you, right? When I prayed about some things, Lord, this, I want to be like you, Lord. I want to be able to share your word in a way that's kind and just and merciful, and all of that, and loving, and so frustration happened, and what was going on, I believe the Lord was getting me in place to be able to do this. So I had to experience the good, the bad, the ugly, um, in order to put it together and know what to do and what not to do. And my mentor, one of my mentors, I have a few, but one of my mentors, Dr. Kimberly Johnson, who is now dean of Eastern University Seminary and College. Yay! I hope to have her on soon. She said to me, as we were, as I was working through what ministry would look like, she used the text that's found in the book of Habakkuk, where it says, write the vision and make it plain. So I don't know if any of our audience has ever heard that before. Write the vision and make it plain. Because you can have a vision, but to sit down and to write it out so that you can see how it can be executed. You can see how you need to put this piece here and that piece there and who can go here and all of that. That's when it became like real to me, because it was just in my head. But once she challenged me to sit down and write it out, scripture out. What is it that you believe that God is saying to me? Because that's what the Lord told Habakkuk in chapter 2. He says, and he was asking God all of these questions, right? Like, well, why is this happening and what is going on here? And he tells him, he says, listen, write the vision. He's giving him the emphasis. He's giving him the encouragement. Actually, he's giving him, almost this command. Well, write the vision, write it out. And he says, and make it plain. He tells him to make it plain on tablets, write it down so he may, and this is the thing that my mentor, when she said it just like quickened in me. It says, so that, this is what the scripture says, so he may run who reads it. Wow. Like you can write it. So with vision, it's not just like seeing it. It's implementing it. It's going forward with it.
And the benefit of writing it down for me, that's why it's literally like directly in front of my bed on a whiteboard on the wall, is because when you're on the journey, like, okay, now you wrote it down, now you know what the vision is, now you know what you have to do, you have the plan, but things start happening and then you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this. If it's not directly, I know for me, if it's not directly in front of me, I'll start to deviate and start doing something else. Like, no, the whole goal is community, bringing the community together, collective work responsibility. That's what the end game is, for us all to do it together. So in order for me to keep the end game in front of me, I have to like look at it and see it and constantly know, why am I doing this? So when I'm frustrated, when I'm, feeling, defeated, then I know what it is. Because my end game is not about, because you hear it a lot now, generational wealth. I want my family to be rich. Like, that's not really my end game. Like, I'm not really motivated by money, and that's not the end game. Like, I want our community to amass wealth together. So my vision is different. But as you start talking to people and meeting people, they like try to change your, well, you should do this and why, well, because that's not what
Yes.
I want. Like I do want my family to be okay, and to be able to live comfortably, but I'm really not doing this so that we can get a Lamborghinis. But if you start talking to people who have Lamborghinis, they'll start to make you think that that's what it is, but that's not what your vision is. So you definitely need to have it written down in front of you and know what it is, because people will definitely try to change what it is that you want to do.
And I think that's problematic. And I am like 100% like with you on that because, you know, I had to even ask myself, like, okay, the vision that God gave me for Sacred Space Ministry was initially to, um, I started out, and I still have this, starting out ministering to people who are homebound. Of course, I was dealing with seniors. I was teaching Bible study where my mom lived at. God bless her. And then traveling to nursing homes and things like that. Right. Then the pandemic hit, and I was like, well, is the vision over, God? And what happened was, we're not, because we weren't able to do that. And also, I'm going to be very transparent with you. I had, a group of people that, signed on with me to the vision, right? I'm with you, and they're, all but two are really pretty much gone. And so I was like, well, God, wait a minute, you gave me this work to do. Like, I'm sure now, I'm not a person that just jumps ahead and does things. But the other part of vision, right, is two things I want to say, is being able to pivot, right? Because the vision is still the same. The foundation of the ministry is Romans 12:1-2, in the Message Bible, which you take your everyday, ordinary, walking around, going to work, life, and present it before God. So for me, sacred and secular are, it's no, it's no barrier there. Like, everything to me. And that's why I use that word sacred all the time, because I think every moment of our life is sacred, right? And we should be using that to the utmost. But there are times when we can pivot within that written vision, in the vision that God gave us. There's times when we have to make adjustments. So if we're so tied to just has to be this particular one way, then I think that sometimes we do ourselves a disservice. But the other side of that, and this is what I was thinking about this morning as I was trying my best to get myself together, is that we have to make sure that we do have the vision that God has given us, right? Because there have been people who have had vision historically that have been to the detriment of others. And so I always think about, we have to be able, I think that we should have, oh my God, the word is escaping me. And my friend Carrie is my accountability partners. We have to be able to have people that we can have honest conversations with, my mentors, and be able to say, Michelle, well, why? Where does that come from? Is that, sometimes that we can get frustrated, because somebody else doesn't see that vision or understand, and then we go in that direction. So we if we can have people that we really do trust, that we can share and talk with about it, then I think that's also helpful along the road of vision. What do you think about that, audience and Khadija?
Well, Carrie said, what God has for you is for you. Don't expect others to see or understand it, and that's okay. And just based from what you said, you have to, like you said, make sure you know that it's the voice of God talking to you. That if that's what you're going off of,
Yes,
because like you
yes,
said, it may affect others. Like, there were several times where God might have told somebody, "You need to kill everybody in here in this whole town."
Exactly.
And you're like, what? Imagine being told that the women and the babies too. Yeah, kill everybody, and you don't want to do it, but ultimately, those babies grew up and now they have enslaved your whole family and your lineage, and now the whole course of life has changed because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So I think just knowing that you are hearing from God, and it's not um your own voice that you're listening to. Sometimes just making sure that you're listening to the right voice, and that you're obedient to that if that's what you're going off of. And then too, like you said, to having a mentor, I think that's key, to be able to talk to somebody. And this is outside of listening to God and his voice. Just if you have an idea for something, it's always good to check with somebody else that you trust, somebody who is or has done the things that you want to do, just to get their honest opinion, just to have guidance. Because, like I said, my whole thing is about community and working together. And I feel like you don't have to be on an island by yourself doing everything alone.
Yeah. And I think that it is definitely good to get different views as well. Like, you don't have to agree with them, but I think sometimes we do ourselves a disservice by just asking people who we know are going to agree with us, right? That if you are like I am blessed. I have your mom is one of my best friends. I've had these friends 30, 40 years now, right? Well, they've been my friends for all of that time. So if they say something a little different than what I'm thinking, I may not have to agree with them, but I should respect the fact that I know that they care enough about me in order to give me a view. I might not agree, but a view that I need to hear and listen to and consider. So I think that, yes, we must make sure that we are hearing from the Lord, and that it, like, my vision for the ministry it didn't come because I was all happy and everything was good. It came through frustration. So even consider when we think about vision, how what was the jumping point? Did it have to come this particular way? And to be patient. Sometimes vision is for something somewhere down the line. And so my second example was when I was at work right before I retired. I retired from my third job in 2017. And the year before I retired, the Lord said to me, y'all know I write, I'm an author of several books that are still available on Amazon and from me. He said, I believe this is what the Lord said. You're going to write a play. I'm like, I'm going to write a play. Well, I like writing poems. I love writing short stories. I love writing devotionals, blah, 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 blah. I even have a manuscript that I've never published yet. And I'm like, a play? Right? Now, this was the year before I retired. And then all that year, the Lord was confirming. Yes, I see what you wrote, Linda. That's good, Michelle. Listen, even if you don't agree. And then I knew it was God because it would not leave me. And I did. I wrote a play. It was a really good play, but the vision, it came from God. And God's encouragement to me was, although you've never done this before, I'm going to give you the tools to do it. So don't be afraid, for those that are listening, that if God is giving you a vision, make sure that it is the Lord, as Khadijah has said, and then ask for how to implement it and be able to pivot, adjust, and invite people that you know that you can trust into it. And that's how the play became a standing room only play.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's
going
right.
to.
Let me tell you something. I still don't believe I have a podcast. Like, just the fact that I'm doing this is wild to me. And then when people say, "Oh, you're such a good conversationalist and you ask good questions," and I'm like, "Really?" Like,
Mhm.
and I'm not even nervous anymore. Because honestly, before, when I was doing the shows, in order for me to be able to do the show, and this is being transparent, I'll have to take a shot to start the show because I
Mhm.
couldn't breathe. Like, I was having anxiety attack, and I'm like,
Mhm.
nobody's forcing you to do this, girl. So why are you going? Like, it's not like you're being forced to do this. It's not like it's your job for a paycheck. You're going through all of this anxiety for what? So I'm like, I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and
Yeah.
now I'm just, I'm good. I don't have to go through any. I still have a little bit of anxiety, but it's fine. Like, I'm one of those people where if you got to make a phone call, you're secretly hoping the person doesn't answer so you don't have
Yes.
to talk and you can leave a message or text or something like that or email. So this is just wild to me.
Yeah.
But my friend, one of my best friends, oh, and I wanted to say this too when you're talking about your friends. That's the a determining factor for if somebody is a good friend to you or not. For them to be able to tell you no, you're wrong, or that's not a good idea, to be able to disagree with you, or else
Say
it's not
so.
really your friend.
That's right.
But my best friend, she always tells me, she's like, you know how you are. Every time you pray, something happens. So sometimes I won't even ask. I won't even pray for things because I'm like, do I really want this? Like, I think it was this show with this scene on it when you were like, you were singing the song, but then you were saying to yourself, like, am I really surrendering?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like that. Like, sometimes you pray. I'm like, do I really want this? Because honestly, getting all these ideas is overwhelming. And I'm like, I did pray for it. I asked for it. So yeah, I think having a friend that can, be honest and real with you is key. But then also when you're praying, um be careful, because if God tells you to do something, I know for me, I don't know how everybody else is, but whenever I pray for something and that prayer is answered, like, if I'm not doing or making the move that I'm supposed to make, it so I'm trying to find the right word. I don't want to say haunts me, but it's like the Holy Spirit is nagging me, like, girl, you said you wanted to do X, Y, and Z
Yeah.
for the community. You said you want to do this. Here's this person. Meet this person randomly at ShopRite. Go say this to this person. I'm like, I don't want to just walk up to somebody, or I don't want to send this person a message, but I have to. Like, I'm forced to do it. Like, I have to get up and do the podcast even if I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like, I have to. Like, I'm forced to do it. So
Mm. Yeah. I think that's passion as well. And I think for, maybe the point of this show, as God is, revealing it to us, is to, make sure that we we're getting the vision from God, because as I said earlier, all vision, we've had people in history that had visions that, were to the detriment of the, community that they lived at. We want to make sure that we are of sound mind. I think that accountability is good. I think mentorship is excellent. I think having friendships that, are honest relationships are good. Not being afraid to have somebody challenge us. It doesn't mean that we don't like that person. It just means that challenges help us to grow. And I mean, that's how I think for me, those doors open. They open from places of challenge. And the other thing that you said earlier, and I was trying to remember it in my mind, was like asking yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? So for me, like you, right, I know that there's this, level outside, of, hustling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, get in the bag and all, whatever that is, right? And for me personally, I'm with you. It's not I love money. I like money, money helps, but it's not necessarily just about, even, I'm gonna be really transparent. It's not about money for me. If I can't leave in somebody's heart a place of hope, like this show is foundation on faith, hope, and love, and I'm talking about that, as Dr. Irie Sessions said last night, that revolutionary love of Jesus. If I can't do that, then I'm not operating in the vision that God has given me, because the richness of life for me are those things that are not tangible, not just tangible, but the richness of life is, that deep sense of peace, priceless. That I was riding home yesterday. I had went out to a park. I want to kind of maybe bring it in as we come to the end of the show. And I'm trying to think of the name of the Tyler Arborarium. And as we were walking out, and we're talking about vision, as we were walking out of the park, we walked in the park. You had to go down this road that leads to the back where we were all gathering at. And when we walked out, we saw this tree. We all saw this tree. And we were like, did y'all see this tree when we walked in? And one person said, yeah, but the other three of us were like, no. And we knew that we had to see this tree. Vision. We're looking, and this tree was beautiful, but it had been injured. But somebody saw vision in this tree, and they propped it up. They used these ladders. They put a gate around it so that you could not touch the tree. But the thing is, as I was thinking of vision, I didn't see it going in, but I saw it going out. We were looking at this tree. We were envisioning, because of the way it was propped up and the story that was attached to it, what it had gone through, but it was still standing. So vision. Sometimes we need to ask God to see correctly what is there, and to see what is not there, and to see where our part is in it. So that's really what I want to just, leave with the audience. As Habakkuk 2:2, and the Lord says, write the vision, make it plain. It doesn't have to be so complicated, and then run with it. But make sure it's the vision that you hear from the Lord. And just because it's different than somebody else's, it doesn't mean that anybody else's is right or wrong. It means that's just the one that God has given for us. And hopefully, like Khadijah does, it will matter not just to us individually, but to those in our community, those in our households, those really in the world at large. If we each did that, I think that we would have a better place to live in. That's my little spiel for today.
Okay.
So, audience, we are grateful to be back next week. We have a guest next week. In fact, I think for the next 3 weeks, we have some really good shows lined up. Some of them are surprises, so we don't want to say anything. So I hope that you'll come on back in. And I also want to tell you that Sacred Space Ministry is back on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. We had a 5-week sabbatical. We came back this Friday that just passed, and we had a lot of new people on, which I was happy about that. So please spread the word about all of the ways that Sacred Space, Sacred Moments, Besties Media, check these all of these social media platforms out, podcasts out, And let's work this thing together. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Khadija, you got anything to say at the end? You good?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Okay. Our hearts and minds clear. We hey, amen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. We saw your comments about topics for the show. We're going to put them on our paper, and we are going to write that vision out and run with that. So stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. Like and share and tell somebody about the show, and have an absolutely amazing day. Peace and blessings.